kind of turned the game around.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we've been doing that a couple times now, which I think our kids are taking pride in that, and I think we're aggressive enough and big enough to be able to hold some people back, and but it shows a little bit of character down there. Our biggest thing is no rushing touchdowns down there. I think it's really, really important for us, and our kids are starting to take pride in it.
You got a lot of seniors on your side of the ball, Coach. What's it been like coaching these guys this year, and how proud are you of your seniors on Friday?
Yeah, it's going to be bittersweet. I know that part of it. You know, it's different because it's only been a full year for us. So, but from what we've asked these guys to do and the changes that have been made around here, and these guys have, we talked about it before, have given us their hearts and said, go ahead and coach us up. So I'm going to try not to be emotional. I'm sure we will. I've kind of told our guys, not to be too emotional, because I think, sometimes you see family members, you think about your career, you think about all the things that are going on, have an opportunity to go to a bowl game now, and kind of keep that in check a little bit so we can go out there and perform for the game. But for me personally, a credit to these guys for allowing us to coach in the way we are.
Is there one senior that kind of stood out to you or made maybe a bigger impression than maybe one of the other guys? Or?
I think Puna Ford is the guy that, doesn't say a lot, but just the way he performs day in and day out in practice and obviously in the games, and just that silent confidence about what we're doing as a coaching staff. We're not in the locker room 24/7, but get a sense that guy is really, me personally, I feel like he really has our backs, and he's such a good player and such a good kid. That's a kid that really stands out to me.
How do you talk about giving each other hearts and stuff? With you and Malik, was there a certain conversation or a certain time where you felt like, okay, he's bought in to what I'm telling him, he's bought into me as a coach?
Yeah, right around SC game, that's when I felt like, okay, he's getting it. I think there was always this need to impress instead of us working together. I thought there was, I want to prove something to you, and me probably to him, and I think that during that stretch where I thought he played really well, we kind of looked at each other and say, hey, man, we're the same guy, we're one, and our relationship changed. He's able to come up to me and talk with me, and it was different, and that's what you end up getting in these relationships with guys, where you're kind of as one, where he knows what you want. I understand exactly his makeup and the things that I can address with him and he can address with me. So I would say about that time.
You all meet a bunch, like in your office?
You know what? At times we have. At times he's very busy. I mean, he has a busy schedule. I mean, people understand what, from schoolwork to just getting in and out of campus, and just the notoriety that he has and the obligations that he does, and he goes out of his way to do things that a lot of people don't know. Gives his time up, but we'll find time before meetings. We'll see each other down the hallway, and we've done that beforehand, where we sat down and just kind of aired it out. But I've been trying to go out of my way with him personally to tell him this is why we're calling things. This is what we're doing game plan wise. Because to me, he deserves to be in that loop. To say this is, so there's some anticipation. Then he can come over to the sidelines and say some things. And okay, it's kind of aligned what we're thinking too. So I've been, it's been good, man. It's been really good with him.
You're really big on hustle and get into the ball. So when you look at the play that Brandon Jones made, right there on the goal line and get the touchback, what are your thoughts on that?
It was huge. I mean, it's just, you're down there and make something happen, but just his hustle and the way that whole play shook out, I mean, it's a credit to him. I mean, that's such a big swing of momentum. That would have been an early touchdown for them. So, that puts us back on the bench, gives our offense the ball out in the 20, and it's such a huge play. I mean, you just see him just go, just don't think, and that's what Herman, everybody's been talking about. It's like, don't even think about anything, just pull the pin, and he did a great job.
Todd, is Friday going to be Malik's last home game too?
I don't know that. We haven't sat down and talked about anything about that part of it. It's all been about getting him better. So eventually the time will come where I think we will sit down, and that's a Herm deal too. So
yeah. When you talk about him and Was he a guy that y'all identified early? Is it, we can get this guy to buy in, everybody else will follow?
It wasn't the buy-in, it was, can we get this guy cleaned up? I mean, when we watched this film, there's so many things fundamentally that he needed to improve on. He went out there early in his career and they blitzed him and he ran around, made explosive plays, but he wasn't like, always like, if he was a running back, he would take a toss for 80-yard touchdown. But then when you asked him to pass pro or catch a ball out of the backfield, he wasn't really good at that stuff.
Right.
So it's just making him a complete player. And I think, you know, sitting down with him and not sitting there and saying like, this is terrible, this stinks, this is not good. Like, coach me, like show me how to get this right. And during that time where he accepted that part of it, but it wasn't that much as much as having results when he went to practice. So let's be more physical. I mean, what does that mean to you?
Right.
You know, to somebody. Yelling at a person doesn't make somebody more physical. What does is, this is how you hit somebody. So when we taught him some of the things that he needs to do with his feet and throughout his body, and he had some success with it, he says, you know what, I can do this all the time. So obviously has all the tools to be able to do it.
Right.
It's just taking him through and really breaking down his game. And I think, you know, and he's getting better. And he's still got some things that he needs to work on, but he's getting better.
You say you can see the first day talent in a guy like Chris Boyd. Can you see the first day talent or second day talent in a guy like Deshaun Elliott, who's now a finalist for the Thorpe?
Yeah, you know, sometimes you just get into a production deal. You know what I mean? You get into the awards part of it. Now, Deshaun's played his butt off. Now, I'm not discrediting any part of that. But there's a lot of things that he can work on to get better. And those positions, those guys are ball hawks, they're fast, they can cover in the half. Those are the day one talents with it. Now, does he have that in him eventually? In my opinion, yes. Is that right now? I can't answer that part of it, but I know what he is. He's proven that he's physical. He's got elite vision back there. That's the one thing that, you know, that he doesn't get enough credit for. The play he made in the corner of the end zone wasn't even his play, but he's got such great vision that he's able to knock the football down. So, but, you know, he just got to keep working like everybody else. He's got a great attitude. He's coming out to practice, and, you know, Craig Nyber's done an unbelievable job of developing him and getting to him where he's at, and there's still more in that ceiling, in my opinion.
Who do you anticipate being in Brecken's spot for the first half? And then also, is most of the focus on Cantrell and Kuti in the secondary this
Yeah,
week?
well, we'll start off, and we've kind of put Nate up there. You know, it'll end up being Malcolm and Charles will probably be the guys that you'll end up seeing up front. And then, you know, Brecken gets back out, but that's a rotated deal. You know, obviously it's going to hurt us a little bit, but it is what it is. And then in the back end, I mean, they got speed everywhere. So, I mean, obviously we've got to keep an eye on all those guys because we've got to run our tails off to the football, because once these guys get in space, and they're very creative in terms of what they're doing offensively. So they'll get the ball in those guys' hands as fast as humanly possible and watch them run. So we've got to really do a good job of getting numbers to those guys, because it's going to be hard to tackle one-on-one.
How TCU hold on to 3?
Well, here's the thing that they did on TCU. They moved the ball and they ran the football on them. It's just you get into situations in our league, it's about third down defense and it's about, you know, tight red zone. And that's the thing about this league that I found out. It's not as much as about the yards. It's about making critical plays and turnovers and those type of deals. So they ran the football very well, very efficiently versus TCU, and we all know what TCU is, especially run defense.
That's a first year coach here. How important will these extra practices be for you developing this?
Yeah, we just got done talking about it, and so like, what is the importance of going to a bowl game? It's another spring ball. I mean, it's so huge. I mean, you are completely behind, and you go 2 years here and don't have an opportunity to go to a bowl. And I'm not talking about getting Malik Jefferson right. It's like getting like Bimage, getting some of these other guys that need reps, that need to be coached by us, and it's so important to be able to have those extra practices. Because if you think about it, you know, you practice up until whatever date we go to the bowl game, those kids go away and they come back and have winter workouts, and then you're back on the field late March or whatever it is. That's great carryover for us, so it's huge in terms of development.
Two more for Coach.
You mentioned just kind of learning about the league. We talk about the red zone and third down defense.
You've been through 8 games in this conference now, Coach. What have you learned through these 8 games, and how's that compare to your perception of the league offensively before the season started, before you got here?
Well, the thing about this league is, and that to me is mind-blowing, is the amount of NFL talent that is either at receiver, running back, or quarterback. And like I said, we come in this year, and I've never seen such dynamic quarterback play. I mean, normally you get, you know, 1 or 2 guys that's like, okay, we've got a good one, but not a draftable, like, first 4 rounds. I mean, that's mind-blowing to me. That's, you know, when you go out in the field and you watch how fast these guys are, that's another thing. But just the creativity in this league, especially when you get into the season, because when guys start to change a little bit and they start to add these wrinkles into, I mean, they're unbelievably creative.
Todd? Sorry.
Last one.
This may sound like a weird question, but I don't know when we're going to see you again. Are you planning on being here next year?
Yeah, I mean, this, like I said beforehand, there's nothing to anything. And, you know, Tom Herman has been unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. I mean, you think about this part of it, I'm at Utah State. Utah State, and I bet you half the people in this room don't know where Utah State's at.
Right.
And he calls me up to, you know, bring me to Houston, when a lot of people, you know, would question that, to be honest with you. And that's my dude.
What did you get a head coaching on?
Right.
What's that? Like I said beforehand, I'm not even remotely thinking about that part of it. I'm worried about these kids in every part of it, and that's real.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, it's easier to call plays when you're able to run the football. It was great getting Connor back. Obviously, I think he had a big impact in the physicality of us, but also just emotionally. And he had a lot of fun out there playing, which carried through the offensive line and carried it really into the offense.
How do you compare Tech's front to West Virginia?
Bigger, stronger, across the front 3 in terms of their odd front and even at linebacker. West Virginia was a small, quick, fast team. This is a much bigger, stout team.
You get Connor back, and then almost immediately you lose Pat. Obviously,
Sure.
The line held up pretty well, but is that sort of deflating in a way? And you almost
No, you know,
together?
it's sad for Pat. Unfortunately, it's been the cloud that's been hanging over us a little bit, but I was proud that, you know, it's next man up. You know, it's kind of been that mentality for us offensively all year. Whoever we call on needs to go in there and perform, and TC did a really good job moving over from center to playing left guard, which he hadn't done. So, you know, Coach Wareham coached him up real quick and in between one of the series, and it was good to go.
Coach told us that Sam would start on Friday. Obviously, you went with him during the game. What has he done to kind of maybe win you guys over right now?
You know, I just think a little bit what the game called for, and right now I think he's more consistent moving our offense and making plays, and whether they're pretty or not, he's being effective.
Tim, it sounded like that y'all weren't sure if Connor could go the distance. You kind of let him be the judge of that. So was it a surprise that he did?
Yeah, it really was. You know, people ask me how long, was he going to start? We didn't know. I mean, how was pregame? How did he feel? I think once he got out there, juice started flowing. He felt good, and he just stayed in.
What did you say out loud when Sam threw the pick 6?
Can't repeat that.
Was it loud?
Oh yeah, it was loud.
What did you think of it?
Wasn't a very good play.
Did you scream at him on the phone, or what did you do after?
No, because it's over. I mean, it's a teachable moment for him. He has to learn. That's part of you guys heard me call him a little bit of a wild buck before, and that's part of that. I know he's trying to get rid of the ball, but you know, we're in the red zone. You got it's ball security first and foremost, and he has to do a better job in his decision-making process in that split second of what to be able to do. So I told him that. We talked about it. We had a long game to go. Beating him up on it was not the time or the place to do that.
How did CUNY grade out at guard?
Well, I know he was one of the guys that was the champion for us this week.
How versatile has he been for you guys this year?
I tell you, I'm glad we have him. The guy's played everything for us. I mean, he really has. So he's been a welcome, pleasant surprise for us.
Yeah, small group of seniors on your side of the ball,
Yeah,
Coach, and
yeah.
that's a positive thing in one aspect. But
Yeah.
for the guys you have, what's it been like to work with those guys, and how emotional will you be for them Friday?
You know, I'm proud of all those guys. You know, it obviously hasn't been easy. They've been through a lot in their careers, and they've done a great job of laying a foundation of what the future is going to be here in Texas. So we owe a lot to those guys, and our players do too, and I think they know that. They're really excited to go out there and send them out with a victory. And, you know, being in that locker room, watching our guys, you know, I told somebody the other day, they were saying, you know, hey, you got bowl eligible, what was the locker room? Probably crazy. You know, it was almost, we went into a tough place to play, in a tough environment, tough weather, rainy, nasty, and locked arms and played together and won. I think they were as excited about that as they were being bowl eligible. That they accomplished something that was a difficult task, and they did it together, and led by our seniors. And our younger players appreciate that, and they're excited about that, and they're excited about what's to come, and they owe a lot to these seniors. So I expect to be a lot of fun, and the guys will be ready to play come Friday.
Is that the identity of the offense, what we saw Saturday?
Well, you hope. I mean, if you can continually, you can dictate the game that way, certainly.
I mean, Tom said having Connor back allowed you to look at, no matter what the defensive front was, you know, being presented, you can impose your will. I mean, you can
I
be
mean,
able to do that.
You notice we were able to do some other things because, I mean, you had a veteran player there.
Gerard's kind of been all over the field, but how do you think he's done at X since moving there from the disease?
I think he's getting better. He made a couple of really nice plays, and he made a couple of other plays that weren't as nice. But it's good getting him out there. He's an electrifying player. He's a great young man. He'll do anything and play anywhere, and he just wants to win and play. And he was excited about that, and it was good to see him out there doing some good things for us.
Does he just mostly need to work on, because that's a position
I think it's still just learning it. It's a little bit of a different, you know, you get different coverage. Like when you're an X, you get more rolled up corner, more press. When you're a Z, you get more off coverage quarters. When you're an H, you're working a linebacker. So it's just different techniques and fundamentals and things that he has to work on. And you know, Coach Marringer's doing a great job with him. You know, he's had him a couple of weeks in that position, so his improvement's been really good. He's had a good week. I mean, I say good week. It seems like Friday already, but we've had 2 practices, and you can see his improvement and confidence grow.
Who's graded the highest at running back this season?
You know, they're all pretty even for the most part because they all have give and take. You know, there's things Danny does well. There's things, I mean, Kyle Porter had arguably his best game of the season. Walking, catching, running, I mean, all the things that he had to do in the course of the game. You know, and Tennille, we've seen what he can do. So I think all those guys have had their ups and down moments, and it's good to see them. You could start to see their confidence grow. You know, we're able to do some of the same things over and over and have repetition and have some success offensively because of that.
What does a guy like Kendall Moore provide for you? I mean, played a lot for you guys.
Yeah, thank goodness we got him. You know, losing Cade like we did, being up here, Coach Meekins did an outstanding job getting him and Chris ready. Now I'm telling you, that was up here all night, Thursday night, Friday, getting those guys ready to go and play. Because you know you had Cade taking most of the snaps prior going into this game, so he did a great job of getting those guys ready. And I'm glad we have him. He's a fan favorite amongst our players. You know, guys really like him, and he just goes about his business. He's not real vocal. He just works really hard, and like I said earlier, it's kind of been next man up. Whoever's gone down, we've called on a guy. He's been able to go in there and do some good things, and he had a good game for us.
You're a little more opened up, throwback passes, reverses.
Yeah.
50-yard pass in the range.
We've had some things like that. It's just, again, you have to be able to run the football to control the tempo of the game. If you struggle to do that, and you're playing behind the chains, and it's 2nd and long and 3rd and long, and it's harder to do those things, you know.
Tim, you talk about running the football. How important are these bowl practices going to be for guys like Cosme and Denzel,
Yeah.
guys up there that need to lean on.
Yeah, it's gonna be great for the young players and the returning players to be able to get out there and have an extra, week to 2 weeks of practice to work on the fundamentals and the techniques and to continue to improve their knowledge of the game. And that's why sometimes the rich keep getting richer in terms of college football, because of the experience that those guys get and the improvement they make while everybody else can't practice.
You'll lead the country in offensive pass interferences?
Probably.
You think so?
I think we're pretty close to that, yeah.
What is the issue?
I don't know.
You can scratch your head, or what is it?
I'm doing something wrong, obviously.
Tim, what
Between injuries and pass interference, I wouldn't stand too close to me if I
Tech's defense seems like it's better
Yeah.
than what it's been. Where are they doing things right, or where are they doing things better?
I think Coach Gibbs done a good job with them defensively, and he continues to evolve, and his scheme is a difficult one. He does a lot of different things, and they know what they need to do week to week, and then he works the scheme to stop what he has to stop week to week. So when you collectively look at that, it looks like there's a lot of defense. So he'll have a plan for us, certainly, and we're gonna have to figure that out and attack it.
I'm sorry.
No.
On the OPIs though, y'all aren't running anything different than anybody else in college football is doing.
Nope.
So why, I know you can't comment on officiating, I don't want you to, but clearly, what are the officials seeing that no one else in college football is doing on these plays?
I don't know. I'm being honest when I say that. I really, in all my years, I've coached close to 30 years, I've never seen him be able, there was no flag thrown, and to be able to go back and to review a call, I didn't realize you could do that.
Right.
Review if a guy's passed the line of scrimmage or not for pass interference. Because you can't review like a throw and say, was that pass interference? Would you review that? So I never knew that. Found that out this year. So, obviously we probably have to do better. We've coached that. In the heat of the game, a guy's going, you're talking sometimes that far a difference between being over the line and not being over the line. And when the naked eye sees it, 98% of the time I'm not going to make that call. When they review it, now they can stop it and take their time and look at that, and the yellow line on the TV, and you can see that he's crossed it. That happens quite a bit in this game anymore with certain pass concepts. It's just whether or not they call it. For some reason, it's getting called.
But if we ask Walt, it's 100% right. Right. I is that what y'all get told internally as well?
Yeah, I guess for the most part, they'll agree, but you'll also get agreed that, well, yeah, that wasn't holding, and yeah, that guy was offsides, and yeah, we missed 3 pass interference calls. What does that do?
Right.
It doesn't help you.
Right. What did you like best about what Sam did Saturday?
Again, moved our offense. He found ways to make plays. Some in critical situations, he tucked the ball and ran when he needed to. He threw it when he needed to. He controlled our team, the tempo, the emotion, the physicality, the energy. Those are the things right now that he brings to the offense, and for lack of a better term, you feel him when he's in the game, and that's a little bit what you need right now, or we need it offensively, is to have some of that, having that demonstrative quarterback back there that's like that.
Even after the
Time
pick
for a couple
six,
last ones?
Yeah, even after the pick six, it didn't. He's on the headset. Him and I are, about other things too. We argue about, like, he called the protection wrong. I got you. You don't got me because you called it wrong. I got you, coach. No, you don't got me. I'm going to come down there and get you. Kind of one of those deals, because that's just how he is. But that's just him.
Kind of touching on the injuries again a little bit. You've obviously had a lot. That's made guys move over. You've had Gerard. You've had a lot of moving along the offensive line. Do you think seeing that, I guess you could call it sacrifice, has that helped Chris Warren in his transition? And what's it been like for him to make that transition running back?
You know, I do. I'm really proud of Chris, you know. It can't be easy to do what we've asked him to do. But wow, what 2 games he's had, huh? You know, doing that. What he can bring to the table playing that position. We snapped him the ball, we've thrown him the ball, he's blocking for us. There's all kind of things that we were able to do with a guy like him in that position. And he's done a great job doing it. Really unselfish player to be able to do that. So, and I think seeing the injuries and seeing what guys have had to do, like Gerard. I mean, here's a guy that has played a lot of football here, and he came to be our backup quarterback when we had injuries and didn't play because we couldn't get him hurt because if something happened, then what, you know? So, and he did. He just said, okay, coach, whenever I'm ready, you know, whenever you need me, I'm ready. And he just kind of waited there. When you have guys like that that are unselfish, Gerard and Chris, and doing those types of things, you're going to have a great foundation built and great success down the road. And it's starting to, now as we start getting the players back a little bit healthy and start getting into a little bit of the identity of we had hoped to have earlier, and the pieces in place, you could start to see a little continuity and a little more swagger maybe offensively.
What does Colin Johnson need to do to kind of become more of an impact player in your offense?
Well, I think, you know, Connor's just continuing to work. And
Colin?
Yeah, Colin.
Oh, I thought you said Colin.
No, yeah, Colin, yeah. He just needs to continue to work, and he'll get stronger this offseason and faster and those types of things, and just continue to develop his game. It's like we talked about earlier, you know, a bunch of different offenses, a bunch of different position coaches, a bunch of different ways to do things and learning it and going through a process. And so you take what we're teaching you, and then all of a sudden, okay, now it's cover 2, you have a cloud corner, oh no, wait, it's inside leverage man, no, wait, it's quarters, no, wait, it's cover 3, no, wait, it's... So when you start applying all the variables to it, it's a slow process like anything. So, but I think he's going to be a really, really tremendous football player for us.
Hey, Coach.
You got it.